Greetings everyone and welcome back to my channel, The Grimm Reader. I am Kathy Grimm and I am the Grimm Reader, that's me. And I come to you today with a general chat about life, books. Yeah, those two. Life encompasses a lot and so do books. And for the reading part, I will rely quite a bit on my little log that I keep, not always as in depth as I would like, but I do kind of keep track of what I've been reading. And so, I mean, the main reason why I haven't come back more quickly is still that I'm so busy with work, even though it is winding down, which is on the whole wonderful because I'm heading into retirement. But there is this sort of sense of the big unknown, and I do find myself sometimes feeling, I don't know, it's hard to describe. It's like a big thing that's happening in your life, but it's a big good thing as opposed to a big bad thing. And it's sort of like, it's so different from anything else. It's not like moving where you're just busy. I hate moving so much. I'm so glad I don't have to do that. And it's not anything bad like grief, except perhaps in the very vague or sort of metaphorical sense of shedding that identity, I guess you could say. Which, I mean, for me is kind of true because just, I mean, our whole life has been kind of dominated by my job. We have to say, not in a good sense always, just in the sense that because of having to sort of go where the job is, and my husband being okay with that, and we both seem to have kind of almost enjoyed the sort of, I mean, we didn't enjoy having to move away from where I didn't get tenure. That was just all bad. And plus the fact that we had to sell that house, and I'm so glad we did fairly promptly. So that's, and it was in a little, town in Michigan. I'm so glad we sold that house and we didn't have to deal with double mortgages for too long. Anyway, point being, that's kind of all coming to an end too. So that's kind of interesting. I haven't really thought about that. And so for now, our plan is to just stay put in this quite nice college town. I mean, it has some drawbacks, mainly that it's, in Ohio. I hate to say it. But in a way, things could be a lot worse. The cost of living is quite reasonable. We feel quite at home here. We have friends and our neighbors that we really like. So why would we move? Especially because, who's to say how it will be? The only thing that would make us move is if things get, even worse here, politically speaking. I'm not a citizen. So, I'm a German citizen still only with a green card. And I guess that's a retirement project, just to finally get around to becoming a US citizen. I mean, I've lived here way longer than anywhere else, but I haven't done that. And so that's that. And then, so my life has been lifing, teaching. I do have some funny kids in class who keep asking me if I have senioritis. And I'm like, the last time they asked, I said a little bit. And they also, I don't know why, because I probably talk about things in class. They know about Mr. T, my cats, and they always ask, how's Mr. T? And I know that it's partly just to get me off topic of teaching them something about German grammar. And I answer them and tell them about Mr. T. And they're all very, I mean, one thing about the young people is that most of them are very animal friendly, and a lot of them to the point of them wanting to work with animals. I mean, at least my groups there, I always ask them if they're dogs or cat people. And the good thing about that is you can even do that in the language a little bit. Dog is Hund, Katze is cat, and it's pretty easy, tangible stuff you can talk about. Except that the whole conundrum of, well, it's die Katze feminine, but what if your cat's like a guy? Do you say Kater, which the male cat is basically a tomcat? Anyway, German grammar difficulties. Just by the by, because it occurs to me, my husband sort of decided to do German on Duolingo, and I fell into a bit of a rant because apparently in the beginning they don't teach you the articles of the nouns that you're learning. So you just learn library, or university library is Bibliothek, because a normal library is something else, a Bücherei. But they don't tell you that it's die Bibliothek, it's die, feminine. And I'm like, well, that's not right. You have to, because one of my main goals as a sort of language teacher with German is that you have to learn the article that goes with each noun, so that then later on you can, conjugate it correctly. I mean, not conjugate it, decline it, according to how it's being used in a sentence. Is it accusative? Is it dative? Because that changes in German. Oh, so boring, I guess, for people who are not interested in German stuff. Anyway, so but I think it's great that he's doing that. And where was I with my life stuff? Let's get into the main stuff, which is of course my sick body. as I'll phrase it, I'm fine because I have ways of coping. But so the other day, only yesterday, I had got my first MRI. I think I have had one. I did have one. I think when I taught at the all-boys school in Indiana called Wabash College. We lived there for a while, and I had a pretty good doctor who kind of dealt with my, at that point, just irritable bowel from, the stress. I didn't have anything that bad yet. But for some reason, maybe sinus, I think it was that kind of, I don't know I think I had an MRI. So yesterday I had my second one, and I have to say, I am so strange. We know that, it is known. I kind of liked it, because I liked the two, I didn't mind the noises, plus he was talking to me, and I had them play classical music, which was nice, and you just kind of lie there, and he put me in a blanket so I wasn't cold. Just lying there listening to the music, and it didn't take that long. I was just zoning out. It was fine. So the test itself was no big deal. But then I got my results, and I haven't checked back. My doctor, I don't know if she probably will get back, but my results, I'm looking at the piece of paper that I printed them out on, have led me into rabbit holing. Because, my back's pretty messed up. It's pretty, a lot of it is just typical stuff, so all of the lumbar area, the L stuff is what's bad with me. Anything until L is fine. But I have disc bulging, which is yeah, we know what that is. I have mostly only mild facet arthropathy, so the facets are arthritic, except one is just doesn't say mild. And then the big one, or the bad one, is in L4, L5, no, L3, L2, L3, L4, so a little bit higher. I have severe stenosis, so the narrowing of the canal, the thecal sac as they call it, has gone down to 7 millimeters. And there's also thickening of the ligamentum flavum, which I looked up. That's just part of the whole area there. And then I have, other things that they don't really say are very important, but I don't know, perineural cysts, so anything. Anyway, point being, I think there's a pretty close connection to my pain, and that the narrowing of the area there, the stenosis, which is, it's kind of sort of like a pinched nerve. It's there's not enough room for the nerve stuff to go through and not cause issues. And my issues are there, and they have been for a long time. And I think this is fair. I don't think I've had that the whole time. I don't know when it happened. I've had some of this stuff for a long time. But so the question is, I'm coping fairly well. I'm not at the point. I've already done some research into what is to be done. I think I have to be careful with physical therapy, and I just kind of want to have someone who knows more about this, even than my great doctor or the PT person, to sort of give me some insights into my options. I still don't think I don't think I'm a candidate for surgery necessarily, but I'm wondering about epidural injections. I don't know, maybe not, maybe yes, I don't know. So, and also I do need to get better at doing exercises. One thing I almost tried to do, but then I backed away from it just because I don't think I have the time or the strength to do it right now, is to sign up for the weight loss pill, one of the pills, I don't know which one, but I was going to try and do it with Weight Watchers, and they require a lot of documentation, which I understand, of course, and blood work, which I need to get done. But then I decided it's just not a good time because I'm teaching still. I'm still kind of busy. The retirement, there's going to be a gathering, a very casual gathering. But it's all kind of coming together. And then, of course, I leave for Germany for 7 weeks. And so I backed out of it just because I don't think it's the time to do it, even though I do want to lose some weight for my back reasons, to get the pressure off my poor back and also off my feet. The issue with all those back stuff is it does, I think the stuff I read out to you about the stenosis is what's causing pain going into the legs, along the side of the legs. So it's not just the back, it's kind of going down. And it's not only pain, it's like neuropathic stuff, like nerve issues, and this feeling that I have of restlessness or discomfort in the legs. It's pretty sort of vague, but it's enough to be noticed. And see, with me, of course, not to get too boring, I have other stuff going on. I have geographical tongue that sometimes hurts. I have this sore shoulder that sometimes hurts. I have my feet that, at least the left one with the hallus rigidus, the big toe is sore. And then, of course, I had those bouts of internal discomfort. So it's like I'm a bit of a mess, but I'm okay. No, I'm fine. But it's like, it's interesting how all these things, are they connected or not? And at some point, you just have to sort of let it go and let it be and enjoy your life and not think about it too much. I mean, of course, always. But it's interesting. So anyway, as I said on Blue Sky, I'm glad I'm retiring because my back is messed up. Standing is hard. Walking's not great. I hate stairs. I would like to walk more. I need to do my stretches. And you're supposed to stay mobile, of course. With the stenosis, you have to be careful. You can't, a lot of these things, because they kind of involve inflammation, you can't push your body too much, or you have to be careful how you push your body. Plus I have then I have my own thing of just feeling tired and fatigued and not wanting to move. So my fatigue issues come out too. So yeah, that's the health stuff. Let's get into the book stuff, because that's perhaps a little bit more interesting. Also stationery stuff, but I won't talk about that now. I had a sort of phase where I thought I would switch away from my beloved Hobonichi, but then of course I came running back to it. Anyway, that's for another time, the stationery stuff. Let's see. So my reading has been okay, not great, slow, because I'm dealing with this big chunk of a book. I always do this to myself. I get into a really good big book, but it's also a heavy big book. I mean, in the sense of content material, not just the actual object. And so let's see, what did I last talk to you guys about? See, I did think I've mentioned that I'm reading the the calculation of volume, the never-ending story about the lady who's stuck on November 18th. And I started volume 4, and sometimes I go into that. I'm reading it on my Kindle in German, but I much prefer listening to it, because I kind of, in a way, got more out of it. Reading, me and the Kindle, I have to kind of get used to it if I want to take it on my, and I started reading on my iPad instead, just because it's bigger. I don't know why. Maybe because then I can go have a peek at the internet at the same time. I don't know. And it's still, I like it. I mean, it has changed a lot since the first couple of volumes. Just, I won't say how for spoilerish reasons. If you know, you know. So it's as if the whole kind of vibe of the book has changed, even though it's still there and it's still about the 18th of November in a certain sense. It's become different for reasons. And perhaps just not as, it doesn't suck you in as much, although it could just be me not being sucked in enough because of what's going on in the Kindle and the way I'm reading it. So I might just re-listen to it again or reread it or something when it comes out in English, or I don't know, I'm reading it in German, which is fine. I don't think it's that. It's just the medium of it, reading it on the Kindle as opposed to listening to it. It was a good listen in a way. Let's see. So that's all. I'm in the fourth one of that one. And so I'm at about 70%, so I could just finish it. And the thing, I'm in this sort of conundrum that I always get myself into, because this is my main book, and it has been, and it will be. And it's Riders in the Chariot, this highly kind of religious book in a way. He's using religion. He wants to explore specifically kind of a very basic idea of, I mean, in a certain sense, all four of his main characters, they're supposed to be saints, they're kind of, but they're outside of saints. There's a very strange woman who lives in the big house, and she's very little, and she's kind of always described in kind of that she's kind of ugly. And then there's a Jewish man who escaped the Holocaust in sort of a miraculous way and has come to Australia. And he leads a very strange, alienated life, but he kind of has made friends with this lady, Miss Hare. And then there's an Aboriginal fellow whose tale I'm in right now, and he has been he was brought up in part by a pastor and the pastor's sister, and kind of groomed, and it was kind of, it was not, it was also the fact that he's sort of, he has an artistic talent, he's quite precocious, but he's had to sort of run away from that and hide his, the fact that he can read, but he's kind of connected somewhat with the Jewish fellow. And they have a kind of strange bond. All the sort of good connections are sort of mystical and strange. And then there's the wife, she's a sort of not well-off woman, Mrs. Godbold. They have these kind of interesting names. The Jew's name is Himmelfarb, so the color of the heavens, kind of heavenly. And let's see, Godbold, that lady, her life was very interesting. She came over from Ireland, and she's married an abusive spouse whom she does kind of dote on, but it's because of her love of God, like she's religious, and so she sort of sees this as her task in life, so to speak, which of course, these days, I don't know about that, but he's done a good enough job to make you sort of buy into it, at least for the novel. This is the 60s, and even sort of the pastor and the young man, they call him, what's his name? The Aborigines name is Alf or something. Alf Dubbo is his name, and he's a really interesting fellow too. And of course, he gets blamed for the abuse that he was. Abuse, I don't know how, they were, he was definitely kind of abused by the old guy, but he wasn't that, he's kind of come out of it, I think, not so, I don't know, it's a complicated relationship, but he had to run away from that. And I think the reason why I'm being sort of like vague about it all in terms of his, how abused, is his character is very, he kind of just watches and observes and lets things happen. Even, he has a low kind of affect in a certain sense. But it's part of his being self-enclosed, but he's very sort of sure about what he thinks is good or bad. Like in terms of art, he's an artist, and he looks at, European works of art and criticizes them, and it's quite well done. So it's an interesting book in the sense that why it's obviously kind of trying to connect the new world with the old world. And, I really want to kind of jump to something like praiseworthy to get the sort of other side of this, because this is still kind of very indebted to a sort of, Western European way of looking at things. Even though I do think his portrayal of Aboriginal life and culture, the glimpses that you see of it in here, and even more in Foss, were quite well done. And it's obviously from the standpoint of them being, having been, they're the victims of colonization for sure. But it is a heavy book, and I'm not always in the mood to read about these poor people who, I think it's quite well written. I was scrounging around for reviews, of which there are quite a few, but not everyone likes his style, which is maybe a little over the top sometimes, but in a way I think it's appropriate for these people who have visions of Ezekiel and the writer, who are, I don't know if they're supposed to be the writers in the chariot, maybe they are. So I'm not quite sure. I did have a peek, and I unfortunately know one thing that's going to happen, and let me just say, it's Good Friday. That's all I'll say about that. I decided well, mainly because I wanted to give myself a break, and also to sort of digest the MRI stuff, to not teach today and to give my kids the day off. And I said, okay, I'm not particularly religious, because I'm not. But in terms of the culture, I think I said this before. I don't know if I said it on the channel. In Germany, everything shuts down. It's like one of the biggest holidays in terms of the calendar, and aside from Christmas, because it's Easter, it's the big day, Good Friday. I know it's not an official, like, it has a strange status because it's not, Sunday's the official day, I know that, but still I sort of think it's okay to not teach on Good Friday. And that's all I'll say as a hint as to what I know is coming in here, which I'm not really looking forward to, but I am looking forward. I am very loyal to this book. I think it's a good book. but it's sort of like when you're sitting around, you're like, okay, I have to read now, and then I'm like, oh, I have to read this, but I'm not able to sort of disconnect and say, okay, just let me read something else a little bit. Sometimes I do it, and sometimes I'll just read a New Yorker or something else. So I'm struggling a little bit with that. In the meantime, I'm remembering that and it's already 20 minutes, but that's okay. I'll just try and hurry up. A book that I finished that I don't think I've chatted with you about a while ago. It was a listen. I'm getting into my listens now because I always have a book on that I'm listening to. Um, um, let's see. Okay. Sorry, looking at my phone while I'm videotaping, recording. That's not good because I'm recording on my phone. I read or listened to this book, and I read along because I had it on my shelf. And so it's Ann Tyler. I think I mentioned, I don't know if I've talked, how much I've talked about it on here. It's very, oh, how should I describe this? So for me, these can be barely compared. I mean, in terms of, this is really chunky and good and juicy and dark, and the writing's great, and not always, it's sort of like he's doing stuff with the language, I think, and he has sort of these almost philosophical kind of preoccupations that he's working through, or spiritual or religious, whatever. I saw one article that I should look into that kind of has this, so something comparing it to something that Theodor Adorno wrote about, so Frankfurt School stuff, or Kierkegaard, Fear and Trembling. It's kind of, that's that book, and that's kind of my, in a way, that is kind of what I like. It is. And then you get this, which is not bad. I wouldn't say it's terrible, but it's definitely not that. It's very what I would call mid-brow. It's about this family, and you get a kind of, she goes a whole long swath of the family's life and generations, and they live in this house that one person in the family was sort of had a kind of very, very deep connection to. The house stuff is quite good. And the characterizations of the different people in the family are okay, although to me, they kind of, when I remember it now, it's like a TV show. And I always say that in a kind of negative way, and I kind of mean it in a negative way. It's like the characterizations are a little bit extreme, and therefore sometimes annoying, I think, is how I would describe them. Sometimes you get glimpses of things that are a little bit more interesting, but all the people are just kind of, they're sort of going along their groove of who they are and how she's decided to portray them. And there's not many surprises about the interactions. So it's really just showing them all interacting. And, there's quite a bit of plots, quite a lot of things happen. But it's sort of like, yeah, it's like, oh, this was fine. I don't know. The sun's getting very glary right now, so I'm going to try and wrap up because I can barely see myself in the little picture here. So yeah, this was just fine. I think I gave it 4 on the Goodreads. And I think it's just me. It's not a bad book, but it's just not as, I need something to sink my teeth in. And now we come to my final book that I'm still listening to, and it's such a hoot, I have to say. It's just hilarious, it's crazy, it's wacky, and it's Dead Souls by Nikolai Gogol. I had this funny, strange moment the other day when I was trying to get the dates of Gogol, or I don't know how you say it. And I asked Alexa, I kept saying, can you tell me about Nikolai Gogol? And Alexa, Amazon Alexa, so bad, kept thinking I was saying Google. And so we were going back and forth with, no, not Google, Gogol. And then, as I wrote on Blue Sky, just a stupid little Blue Sky thing, it was a very Gogolian moment to have this confusion happening again and again between Gogol and Google. Because he's sort of like funny Russian 19th century Kafka. He's about the absurd, he's about the absurd situations that are then just kind of described in a very, like, no one's sort of saying anything about the absurdity. It's just being described. The other person or writer that sometimes comes to mind is, it's as if it's only the funny, wacky characters in Dickens, but that's the whole book. He has a kind of funny, the sort of exaggerated, but sort of in a funny way. And obviously he's critiquing aspects of society, but I wasn't prepared for it to be so funny. And it does kind of meander a bit, and I am listening to it mainly. So there is that, but I'm quite enjoying it. It's, I don't know how much plot I should give away. it's basically a scheme to make money off of the census. And the main guy, I love his name. His name is Chichikov. Yeah, I just love that name. And it has a kind of almost, he's sort of a traveling aspect, because he's traveling around meeting all these people to get them to sell him their dead souls so that he can then make money off of them. A dismissed civil servant turned confidence man and he's being running around doing his shady things. And it unfolds a gallery of characters worthy of Chaucer. Yeah, Chaucer, yeah. Rabelais, Fielding, and Sterne. Well, I would add Dickens, but in a way, now that I think about it, it is kind of like, what is it, Tom Jones? So Fielding, Henry Fielding, and Lawrence Sterne, so Tristram Shandy. I have not read Rabelais, and to my shame, I have not read Chaucer yet, but I like it. It's fun. It's very fun. And I don't know, I have a feeling people would either love it or like it like me, or they'll be like, what's the point? What is the point? And so it's very different. It's much, in a way, it's lighthearted in a way that the Patrick White, the Australian Nobel Prize reading writer, isn't. So it's kind of a good balance. So maybe what I should do is, when I'm not in the mood for that, just sit down with this. Yeah, I could. Yeah, that is an option. And then I have other things I'm looking at, and I'm reading my Substack somewhat, and about the terrible things that are going on in our world. And we went to our little No Kings thing last time and had a walk around. I was almost feeling a little bit despondent and didn't want to go, but then I did go anyway, so that's fine. So we did a little bit there. It's just a mess. So we know I retreat back into my bubble and, think good thoughts about going to Germany and stuff. Okay, that's 26 minutes. I apologize for length. I'll at least timestamp it in terms of live stuff and book stuff. So there'll be 2 halves. And I do have some slight sort of plans for the channel, in the sense of kind of honing in on, my pillars of what I want to do here with the channel, which will be books and sort of some chronic illness chats, and maybe some stuff about stationery, and of course cats. Cats will always be there. Our kitty cats are all doing fine. We're struggling to figure out how to have someone come and take care of them for the time when Bill and I are both not here. But I think in the end, if we have to, we could get our neighbors to do it. So hopefully it'll all work out. But that's always a bother if you have to. That's one of the reasons why I'm kind of glad that Bill doesn't mind if I sometimes go off more often than he does. And I'm sure I'll miss them, but I will see my sister's cat, Shawnee, so to make up for missing my cats here. Yeah, that's definitely enough blabbing for me. I hope everyone's doing well. And yeah, I will see you at some point in the future. Bye.